Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Coming up this week, we take a look at the latest release from Anthropic, a new product launch from ElevenLabs, plus a potential new product strategy from Instagram that could see it go head-to-head with TikTok, as well as the usual mix of new tools, including a piece of hardware that could transform how you read books forever. As always, if you enjoyed the briefing, hit the subscribe and the like button. But first, after months of anticipation and reported problems, Amazon unveiled the latest iteration of Alexa this week, which is called Alexa Plus. This new version ships with new abilities, including integrations with other Amazon products like Ring, and boasts the capability to perform natural flowing conversations, as well as getting things done on your behalf. So during the demo, Amazon showcased things like date planning, gift shopping, and jumping to your favorite scene in a Prime movie. Now, this is priced at $20 a month, which is steep, but this will be bundled for free with Amazon Prime customers, which is a smart strategic move. And if it's as impressive as it looks in the demos, perhaps this is the first step towards a fully fledged AI home companion. Amazon says that Alexa Plus is already connected to hundreds of different APIs. So the best part here for product teams is that you won't need to build skills for it. Now, despite all this, voice only as a platform is still difficult. Even with these features, how often are users really likely to use Alexa? If you think about it, in its 10 plus years since launch, Alexa has developed a bit of a reputation as a product used for simple tasks, just like setting timers and alarms. But perhaps the recent shift towards conversational voice input for AI products will help drive further adoption. Let's see. Also this week, ElevenLabs has released a new product that it calls Scribe. And it says that this is the most accurate speech-to-text model ever. And to prove just how impressive this product is, one of ElevenLabs' teams posted a video on X in which they showed how it performed against the world's fastest speaker. And as you can see, it performed remarkably well. And this past week, ElevenLabs also ran a hackathon in London and San Francisco with the top 6 products built, including an AI agent that calls businesses on your behalf and a co-pilot to keep drivers awake at the wheels. And speaking of ElevenLabs, over on Substack this week, I take a look at 10 new ways you can use AI at work as part of the AI playground. And in this knowledge series, I include use cases, including the ability to transform your voice using ElevenLabs, create information architectural diagrams with Grok 3, identify any compliance risks with DeepSeek, and the ability to practice a live job interview with Gemini Live voice mode, and a bunch of other use cases as well. So if you're interested in learning more about the practical ways you can use AI at work, then head over to the Substack for more on that. In other news this week, Anthropic launched its new product, Claude Code, which is a new command line tool that directly competes with the likes of GitHub, Copilot, and others. It's built on their new model, Claude 3.7, and it lets teams edit files, run tests, manage Git operations, and understand their codebase in plain language instructions. Now, this uses a hybrid reasoning approach, which is slightly different, and it can enter what Claude calls an extended thinking phase when a developer wants deeper logic. Claude says this new model achieves a state-of-the-art performance on the software engineering benchmark tests, which evaluate an AI's model to solve real-world software issues. So as you can see here from this graph, the standard 3.7 Sonnet model achieves a 62.3% accuracy rate, which rises to 70.3% with custom scaffolding. Custom scaffolding is when prompts are enriched with further information and guidance on how to complete a software engineering task. This release has spurred a response from Google, who have announced that they are making their Gemini code assistant free with 180,000 code completions. And it looks as though pricing announcements are having a wider knock-on effect in the market, with Microsoft announcing this week that it is to offer Copilot's voice and deep thinking features for free. So the arrival of cheaper models like DeepSeek is forcing companies to lower prices and to rethink their pricing strategy. Meta has previously signaled that once its tools reach 1 billion users, it will monetize them via ads, and other products could ultimately follow suit. And in other news from Meta this week, as AI makes it easier than ever to build features, one of the risks for product teams is that feature bloat becomes more of a problem. So if product teams with access to the latest models can boost their productivity and build more features, then feature bloat is a real risk. One way to tackle this could be unbundling products, and it was reported this week that Instagram is considering launching a standalone version of its Reels app, which would see it be removed from the main Instagram app and released as a standalone app to compete directly with TikTok. So this is a really interesting development in how AI is impacting product strategy. And speaking of making things simpler, an old favorite, Trello, is getting a major update that transforms it into a personal to-do task app with a new inbox that lets you organize all of your to-dos in one place. So the idea here is that Trello becomes not just a project management tool, but a personal productivity tool as well. And no week would be complete without an update from Perplexity, who seem to be shipping products every single day at the moment. This week, they launched a new API version of Deep Research, which we featured last week. But this new API version could be used to disrupt existing industries like consulting. So speaking on X, the company's CEO suggested that the API endpoint could be used to build a McKinsey consultant or VC as a software. And he's offering free credits to any team that's willing to build it. As well as that, this week they also teased a brand new browser called Comet, which they describe as a browser for agentic search. So with the browser company's Arc seemingly ditching its own browser last year, maybe Perplexity can pull this off and fill the gap for early adopters who are looking for an alternative to Chrome. Now let's take a look at some tools you can use this week. And first up is a product called Monocle. And Monocle is a productivity tool, and it works by encouraging its users to remove distractions. And in this case, it works by allowing users to focus on just one window at a time. So if you're somebody who has lots of different windows open at any given time, which can impact your productivity because of context switching and distractions, then Monocle could be worth a look. And speaking of distractions, this is a new tool called the Notification Psychology Lab, and it's designed to help product teams understand the techniques that make notifications impossible to ignore. So this is essentially like a gamified tool that allows you to understand the science of attention grabbing, and it works by stepping through different types of notifications and explaining the impact they have on a user's behavior. So if you're currently thinking about introducing notifications into your own product and you want to design them in an effective way, then the Notification Psychology tool could be worth checking out. And as you know, I'm a bit of a stickler for random pieces of hardware. And this week I came across this product called Mark, which describes itself as the first AI bookmark for physical readers. So the way this works is it's a physical bookmark that you use in physical books, and you simply use it as you would a typical bookmark by popping it into the page that you last read. And what it then does is it uses a mobile app to gamify the reading experience by encouraging you to continue learning, by giving you summaries of what you've learned, along with some quizzes to help you retain the knowledge that's stored in the book. So if you're somebody who starts books and doesn't finish them, or you finish a book but you forget what you've learned during that book, then this new piece of hardware could be something worth checking out. It's not available yet, but there is a wait list that users can join. Moving on to some product data and trends this week. First up is this incredible stat that more than 1 billion people are now watching podcasts on YouTube every month. So this number is pretty huge, and just to put that into context, when Spotify last revealed their podcast figures, they reported that they had 100 million in 2023, which is a figure that has likely grown since then, but still misses YouTube's 1 billion listeners by some margin. But despite these figures, YouTube's revenue per 1,000 engagement hours are substantially lower than its competitors, according to this new piece of analysis. So this looked at the revenue that is generated for each of these top companies, including Meta, Netflix, Snapchat, Spotify, and YouTube, and it calculated that YouTube gets 4 billion hours of watch time per day, but generates less revenue per 1,000 engagement than its competitors. This calculation puts YouTube at $41 per 1,000 viewing hours versus Meta, which is at $206. The latest report from McKinsey on generative AI adoption says that employees are now 3 times more likely to be using generative AI than their leaders expect. So this study looked at adoption rates of generative AI in the corporate space, and this mismatch of expectations could be down to the fact that employees still feel reluctant to tell their bosses when they're using AI. So it's almost still a bit of a secret in the corporate setting that AI is used as extensively as it is. But one company that isn't shying away from AI at all and has embraced it completely is JP Morgan. So in an interview with the Wall Street Journal, JP Morgan confirmed that over 200,000 employees now have access to a custom-built tool that they built in-house that it calls LLM Suite. But they say that the productivity gains have been modest so far because, first of all, they want to put the tool in people's hands and let them ask questions and get answers. And then the second phase after this is to take the models and start to plug them into JP Morgan's policies and procedures. And following that, the next stage is to make these even more complex by allowing the models to be capable of doing more reasoning-oriented tasks. So in this example, Teresa Heitsenrether, Chief Data and Analytics Officer, says that eventually this system may allow them to effectively take the workflow of somebody who's an investment banking analyst or a client service person and teach the models the steps that they would take to get their jobs done. Obviously, that is sobering reading for somebody who's just about to take on one of those roles, but you can see the direction of travel here. But despite big gains in the corporate sector, most American workers say that they don't use AI at work at all. This new piece of research from Pew says that 63% of Americans say that they don't use AI at all in the workplace. And one worker who did use AI at work but will likely regret it for the rest of his life is a Disney worker who lost his job after downloading an open source AI tool that contained a virus which managed to hack into his 1Password and then publish offensive material in the company's Slack channel. Eventually, this worker also lost his job after it was alleged that there was pornographic material on his work laptop, but he argues that this was downloaded during the time where this open source tool got access to his machine. So if you are downloading open source AI tools at work, then this should be a cautionary tale. And finally, if you're a fan of the Apple TV show Severance and you want to boost your productivity at work, then you might want to check out this new collection of productivity music that Apple has recently published to its YouTube channel. I've been listening to this all week and I really enjoyed it actually. And with that, thanks very much for listening and watching. We'll be back next week with another briefing.